All right, so welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery. In our today's video, we have something that is very interesting that it is that we are going to be discussing. Now, this is something that was primarily brought to my attention by one of my viewers. And that is what inspired this whole subject today that I'm going to be going into with all of you. So the subject is, how do you know when you are getting too attached to something? Or how do you know when you are too attached to something? So this attachment can obviously come in the form of any form of relationship with another person. It can be attachments to states of being or certain types of identities. It could be something along the lines of substance abuse or certain types of unhealthy coping mechanisms. This is exactly what I'm going to be going into very much depth with in this today's video, and I highly recommend you stay tuned if this is something you are wanting to learn a lot more about, because I promise you this is going to be some life transforming information that I'm going to be sharing. And as you apply this with self-awareness, this could cause a lot of healthy shifts in your day-to-day life. Okay, so with that being said, if you are interested, I will see you on the other side. Okay, so here we go. Welcome to the other side. So how do we know when we are too attached to something or when we are becoming too attached to something? Well, the first place that we want to start with this whole understanding is we want to understand that this is very natural and this is very common for us as human beings to fall into. It is so natural and common for us to overly attach to things. One of the primary reasons why we are over attaching to things, whatever that attachment looks like and however that attachment is manifesting, is because we are trying to get some form of control, safety, and security by being attached. Now, a lot of the times when we are attached, this is not going to be a healthy thing. Actually, most of the times, the majority of most of the times, attachment is not going to be healthy. But there is such thing as healthy attachment too. But the majority of the time, attachments are going to be us trying to escape a deeper vulnerability and a deeper emotion that is currently existing within our bodies. So we are attaching to this unhealthy relationship. We are attaching to this state of consciousness, this state of being, which we could call an identity, because it gives us a sense of control, because we don't want to feel what's actually under the surface, because that's going to be scary. It's going to feel unsafe and it's going to be really uncomfortable. This is so normal and so natural for most of us as human beings to have our attachments that are not healthy attachments. So, of course, when we start addressing the root cause and when we start getting proper education to know that it's important to release unhealthy attachment and actually go into those uncomfortable feelings within the body, that's when you actually get to heal. That's when you actually get to integrate repressed trauma in the system. And that's when you get to experience the liberation and the freedom of just being who you are without attachment. You get to be much more authentic to who you are, and you get to operate much more from a place of surrender. Okay, this is a powerful state to get into, and this allows energy to start moving in a healthy way. But we're not going to be able to get there if we are attached to unhealthy things. Okay? So this video is, what does it look like when we are too attached? What is the deeper mechanisms that are at play when we are starting to become too attached to something? So if you're someone who's following what it is that I'm saying now, and then you're self-reflecting and you're wondering, I wonder if I'm attached to something right now in an unhealthy way, but I'm not 100% sure if I am. How do I actually get to see that? Or how do I get to know this? What does it look like to be attached to something in an unhealthy way? And what are some of the things that you can see start to take place within self? Okay, I'm going to also be speaking from my own personal experience of when I go through this myself, when I notice there are parts of me that are more protective in nature that want to grab onto things to get a sense of control over a situation or a sense of control over myself, at the cost of actually going into more vulnerable parts of myself that just want to have acceptance and want to express and want to move through the system and want to be connected with emotionally. All right, so let me go ahead and get into it. So one of the primary things that I notice within my own process of when I start to recognize attachment when I start to recognize unhealthy attachment moving in my system, one of the first things that I start to recognize takes place is I will gravitate towards something, whatever that thing is, and I will do this thing. Sometimes, actually, I would say a lot of the times, I'm going to be unconscious in the way that I kind of am drawn towards this thing, meaning I'm not aware that I'm moving towards this thing that inherently is going to make me feel good while I have it or while I'm with it. So for me, I can use an example. Let's say with substances. I'll use a simple one with coffee. So, and I'm not here saying that any of these things that I'm going to mention are bad things or evil things or wrong things to do. That's not what I'm saying here. The relationship that we have to any of these things is what matters most. It's not the thing that's the problem. It's the relationship that we have with the thing that can end up causing damage within our system. But with coffee, for example, for me, I've been going through a really deep process of healing inner child wounds and working through trauma within my system. What I've noticed is that coffee for me stimulates me into more of a fight or flight response that is actually very familiar to my nervous system. So in my deeper past, I used to take Adderall. I used to drink coffee like all day, didn't even think about it. And stimulants were always kind of a big backbone of something that I would gravitate towards as a form of coping. It made me feel like I was in control. It made me feel like I was getting things done. It just made me feel good to kind of be in that fight or flight response. So all the way up until now in the present moment, sometimes I get that similar type of familiarity when I drink coffee, when I drink too much caffeine. And when my body takes that hit of the caffeine and then I get more stimulated into this fight or flight response, that feels good to me because it's very familiar to what I've experienced in my past. So although it feels good, the after effects of it don't feel so good because when I enter into this fight or flight response, it inherently starts sort of repressing and suppressing certain parts of my more vulnerable sides. So those parts of me that are my inner child parts that are feeling a little bit more anxious, feeling a little bit more afraid, or feeling a little bit more sad, those parts of me feel abandoned when I drink too much caffeine. And if it becomes a pattern where I keep drinking caffeine when my intuition is telling me not to, and my inner child wants me to spend more time with it and nurture those wounds, that's when it becomes an unhealthy relationship to this thing, to the caffeine. So for me, the way that I recognize when I'm starting to get too attached to something is when I realize that I'm trying to hold on to a feeling of feeling good. And this can show up in a multitude of different ways. I'm sharing my personal experience with you as just one of the little examples that I've experienced in my own life. this can show up in so many different ways for you as the listener. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of areas where you're resonating with what it is that I'm talking about. But when you're becoming too attached to something, it looks like this. There are things that you are depending on to feel a certain way. And when you don't have that thing, or when you don't do that thing, or when you don't be that thing, then you're inherently not going to feel as good. So the attachment starts when we are afraid to go into the unknown and actually feel those other emotions that are truly there. So when we're becoming too attached to something, we are depending on, oftentimes it's going to be external things to then support internal states. But it doesn't necessarily have to just be external things. This could solely be something you're doing internally in regards to your state of being. You could be shifting your state into a certain energy or into a inauthentic energy because you feel like that's what you need to do or you have to do to feel safe or to survive or to be loved by other people, to be accepted. Okay? Think of your general archetype of a people pleaser. This person could feel so, sad and so angry, but the second they get around other people, they start people pleasing. Now they're this happy person that everything's okay and I just want to make everyone else happy, but really they're feeling different emotions. That would be inauthentic to the person. And that would be a state, a people-pleasing state that they're attaching to out of the fear of feeling the uncomfortable emotions that are embedded within their bodies from past trauma and are connected to those vulnerable, wounded inner child parts. So that is the primary key that I use to start recognizing when I'm becoming too attached to something. There's almost like, and obviously with the more self-awareness you have, the more you're going to actually see this, but you will notice there is a split that occurs. There is a part of you that wants to feel that instant gratification and wants to feel good. And then there's another part of you that literally is feeling like it's being abandoned by you when you're going to seek that instant gratification. And that part of you is most likely carrying a deep-seated fear, anxiousness, and sadness, and potentially anger, right? So with being attached, we want to realize, am I doing this thing because I don't want to feel these other feelings? Am I holding on to this because I don't want to feel these other emotions? That is how we know we are attached to something. I am doing this over here, holding it. And that's the key word. It's attachment, right? Because, when it comes to feeling good, obviously that's the state that we want to be able to experience most of the time, but we want to experience it authentically. We don't want to have to hold feeling good or attach to feeling good. We want to be able to flow with both our positive and our negative energies to go into the heavy stuff, the uncomfortable stuff, so that once we integrate that, it can release from the system, which means the trauma can resolve. Those parts of us can really start to integrate through the acceptance factor of being with it. And then you start to move into natural, authentic states of feeling good, where both your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are working together. You're not resisting one over the other. When people are holding on to feeling good, you are resisting your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is what governs the majority of your life experience. So you're literally swimming upstream rather than just going into the ocean, experiencing the waves, allowing the ocean to naturally settle down when the time is right, and then you can sail your boat. You can sail your boat as an analogy. You can feel good. You can have that peace and that groundedness in who you are. So this is the primary thing that it is that I want you as a listener to really pay attention to and recognize. Try your best to recognize it within yourself. Am I attaching to this state of being, to this person to this substance, to this unhealthy coping mechanism, because I don't want to feel these other emotions. That is how you know it is an attachment and you are holding on to it. Because I want you to also know you can feel better than what you've ever felt before when you are doing it authentically, when your body allows you to feel those emotions authentically and genuinely. See, a lot of you, and this is myself included, I have to learn this too, and I'm still in the process of learning this, deeper and deeper and deeper as time goes on. A lot of us have lost trust in our bodies. A lot of us have lost trust in our ability to naturally and organically feel good because we have repressed trauma and we have been in resistance and avoidance to that trauma at an emotional level for many years, which has kind of held us in a state for most of us where we just don't feel good on a daily basis. We feel like a mediocre sense of like dullness, grayness, heaviness, just like kind of like the world's against you type of energy. A lot of people are experiencing that. That's why this type of content is so popular. That's why people are really gravitating towards self-development, understanding how trauma works, and embracing spirituality as a trifecta of healing. So that is really what I want to let you know. You can feel good better than what you've ever felt before organically, but you have to go through the process to get to that point. And you're not going to get to that point when you are attached to certain states of being, certain identities, relationships that are not healthy for you, and unhealthy coping mechanisms of any sort. That's not going to be your breakthrough. That's not going to get you to where you want to be. It's going to keep reiterating the mistrust that you already probably have. And it's going to reiterate an abandonment that you're doing with yourself. And it's going to be an abandonment of that inner child aspect of you. So this video, once again, was inspired by one of my viewers. Thank you for recommending this video. I appreciate you for doing that. If you have any video recommendations on things that cover the self-development process and things that you are interested in those regards, please drop down into the comment section and let me know what you want to learn more about. Let me know what you would like to hear me make a video about, and I will absolutely consider, creating content based on your video recommendations, because I want to be able to address some of these things in a way that is going to be able to offer the most value for you as the viewers. And I want to know what you want to hear, what you're actually like, what's on the top of your heart in regards to what you're working through. Okay. So if you got value from this, slam the thumbs up button, drop down in the comment section, let me know, hit the notification bell and get notified whenever I post, because once again, this content, although it is a 18-minute long video, this can literally change your entire life if you actually are picking up what it is that I'm putting down and you're applying it in your everyday life. It can literally shift the direction of your life if you work with it and allow it to. So don't miss out when I'm posting content that goes into these types of things. I encourage you to do that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. By subscribing, you are further energetically connecting to everything it is that I am teaching. So also make sure you take advantage of that. Copy and paste this link and send it to someone that you feel like who needs to hear this. There is absolutely someone out there that needs to hear this message. So do them that favor, do you that favor, and do me that favor. It's a win-win-win. Okay? Now I'm going to take your awareness to the most important link within the entire description itself. It's the first link below. That is my Patreon. On my Patreon, I have exclusive content all the way down from deep spirituality, occult practices that support the development process, education on nervous system regulation and healing trauma in combination with shadow work. All of these different things organized in different collection sections that you can literally follow from start to finish. Check it out. Tier 3 and 4 is a ritual service, which is the only ritual service that I personally offer that is an energetic support transfer from me to you to support you in working with your shadow self, to better integrate it, to energetically support you in honoring a healthier foundation in your day-to-day life, and then surfacing up a lot of these repressed energies that are in your nervous system so that you can come into much more acceptance with them and really start processing them in a healthy way and then releasing those stored energies. This is going to shift your energetic resonance within time, and that's going to have an effect on your everyday life. But it is going to take some time. You're going to have to be consistent with it, and you're going to have to commit to yourself in that process. Okay, so there's about 300 active members that are continuously taking place of this ritualistic service that is performed on the 29th of every single month. So the deadline to sign up is the 28th. And if you want to take advantage of it, I encourage you to do so. Okay, first link below. Now in the second link, this is where you can book one-on-one calls with me, or you can jump into mentorships. I would absolutely love to get to know you at that deeper layer and help you work through some of these things that you might be going through in your life, help you to create a foundation to regulate your system, and then support you in your initiations through the occult if that is also something that you are interested in, because I can be a guide for that process as well. Okay, second link below. Now in the same second link, you can book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She's a very gifted and intuitive tarot card reader, so I encourage you to look into that if you're interested. Third link is called the Lucifer's Foundation course. This is going to give you a step-by-step process of everything you need to know to develop a relationship with the energy that is known as Lucifer. Look into that. Fourth link is my YouTube memberships. This is where you become a part of the family. So I would love to have you a part of the membership. Okay, that's literally exactly what we are. We are a group of like-minded individuals that are all coming together, doing this deeper work, working with the unconscious mind and healing trauma. And we are here to support each other through this process. So I would be honored to have you a part of the family. Now, if you want to get access to early content releases, as well as some exclusive content, also look into those memberships. Fourth link below. And then the fifth link, this is going to be some book recommendations that I have for you when it comes to the occult studies. Okay, so if you're looking for studies when it comes to occultism and understanding that stuff, definitely look into that fifth link. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. I appreciate all of you very, very, very much. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.